D-Lo 404 Boxing here. All right, y'all. Let's talk about this pound for pound situation. You know what I'm saying? I'm only gonna talk about number one right now. I may come back later in the day or later in the weekend or next week and actually drop my top 5 pound for pound. I'm not gonna do a top 10. Not really worth the hassle or the headache. But anyway, there's a lot of conversation going around on the internet and boxing circles, on boxing social media platforms, on YouTube, whatever, wherever you get your boxing from. If you go there's a lot of conversation about, whether Canelo should be number one pound for pound over Terrence Crawford, or whether it should be Errol Spence Jr., or whether it should be Terrence Crawford. And the reality is that pound for pound is subjective. It's there's a lot of people who actually do their honest best to not be biased and to just base it on the criteria that they think pound for pound should be based on, aren't even using the same criteria that other people are using. So you're never gonna have a consensus. I mean, even back in the day when Roy Jones Jr. was pound for pound number one, I'm sure, and I remember that there were some who didn't have him number one. They had Oscar De La Hoya number one. And when Oscar was actually the number one pound for pound, by most people, there were other people who had others that were number one pound. So it's never going to be a consensus. There's always going to be a conversation. There's always going to be an argument. But the thing is now that you have people who don't have Canelo on their pound for pound list at all because of certain things that they see in Canelo or that they know about Canelo that make them feel like Canelo doesn't merit being on a pound for pound list. Or even if they have him on the list, they say, no, I can't put this guy at number one ahead of this guy and this guy because of this. So, and that's their prerogative. That's their opinion. They're entitled to that. And at the same time, if these guys, choose to have Errol Spence Jr. as number one over Terrence Crawford, and they're in the same division, and they feel like Errol Spence Jr. has the better wins in the division, even though he may or may not have the better overall body of work, or whatever the case may be, that's their prerogative. If they choose to have Terrence Crawford as number one pound for pound, but don't have Terrence Crawford as number one welterweight, or even if they do have him as number one welterweight because of what they see, then that's their opinion. Because pound for pound isn't always about your record in terms of who you beaten, who you face. Sometimes it's about how you look with that eye test, how you're perceived to be able to compete with guys you haven't actually competed with, and if all things were equal in terms of weight, how you would fare against them. That's the way some people look at it. So it's always going to be subjective. But the thing that really sticks out to me now is that you have people saying that anybody who doesn't have Canelo pound for pound number one, they're hating on Canelo, or they just Canelo hater, or that they just don't like Mexicans and things of that nature. When in reality, just the idea or the premise of pound for pound is never going to be something that everybody's in agreement with, and it's never going to be something that people just automatically just say, hey, this is the guy, hey, that is the guy, hey, this. It's always going to be somebody who craps all over somebody else's list, and that's just the way it is. And it's always going to be somebody who puts out a list that completely opposes somebody else's list. So it's not something to attack anybody about. It's not something to get all in the uproar about. It's not something to point fingers at somebody and say, hey, you're a racist, or you hate these group of people, or you hate this and you hate that, or you're biased, or you're fangirl, or whatever the case may be. It just means that that person doesn't see it the way you see it, and that's okay. We all been watching boxing for a long time, and we see three judges judge a fight. Usually the network has a judge, and at times, out of those 4 judges, none of them are in agreement with what they saw. So if we can accept that in the sport of boxing and understand that that's just a part of boxing, then why can't we accept other people's opinion when it comes to who they think is the best pound for pound boxer in the world, or who they think are the top 10 pound for pound boxers in the world? To me, I feel like to constantly berate somebody or attack somebody because they don't have your same views or see things from your vantage point is an indictment on you, not that person. That's all I got to say on the subject. D-Lo 404 Boxing. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm out. Peace.